Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn session. Today I have the guys of Thinkmoney with me. They are going to be talking through their engineering academy. We've had some great success with them recently, and we've made multiple hires into Thinkmoney, and they're just going to be telling you all about the work that they are doing. So I will hand you over to Steve, who is the head of talent acquisition over at Thinkmoney. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Alice. Yes, just wanted to talk about Thinkmoney as an organisation, a little bit about our values as well. For those who don't know us, we are a fintech bank. We provide a sort of fairer way to banking and work with people who are what we call underserved. So they may have had financial difficulties, they may be on low incomes, and need help from a bank beyond what a traditional bank does as well. So we say that we serve the underserved. So there's a strong ethical element to what we do as an organisation and how we work with our customers as well. So a few things about the current accounts that we operate and the services around there. There's budgeting services built into our current account to make sure our customers don't miss bills. There's a small fee for the bank account per month, but there's no fees after that, no overdraft fees, no fees for any transactions or anything like that. For our customers who bank with us and use it as their main account, 3 out of 4 of those customers see their credit scores improve if they stay with us for 2 years, because we're really about helping improve our customers' financial well-being and getting your credit score right, stopping those payments bouncing is a really important part of it. We're a data-led organisation, so keeping track of that, really, really important for us and for our customers as well. And then there's external validation of what we do for our customers. So we had a 4-star Fair Banking Award for 11 years on the trot. Fair Banking Awards given to financial services companies that genuinely improve the financial well-being of their customers. And if you go onto Trustpilot, you go onto Google reviews, you'll see scores over 4 out of 5, 4.3 at the moment for Trustpilot and 4.2 for Google reviews. So, hold on a second. So, what do we offer? We offer current accounts with budgeting, we offer loans, we offer retail marketplace to buy other products, and we also offer credit cards as well. I understand that the show's not coming up at the moment. I'm not quite sure why that is. It was there before. Let me just try and get that up. There we go. There we go. Let me just get that up and try and move that along a little bit. Slight technical issue from our side. Apologise for that. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the next slide, even though we can't see it, while we try to work out our technical gremlins. CSR, corporate and social responsibility, is also a big part of what we do, being an ethical business. So we really work with 2 charities extensively in the last few years. In the last 10 years, we've raised £1 million for Cash for Kids in Manchester, which gives presents to children at Christmas and does other things with them throughout the year as well, for low-income families. What we've also done is work with Chance for Childhood in Rwanda, helping to build 2 schools for deaf children, provide meals, teachers, accommodation, a whole host of other things as well. We've been Cash for Kids' biggest fundraiser in the last 10 years. So that ethical element's a really big part of what we do. And to reflect that, all of the people who work here also get given 1 day off a year to do work for charities too. So big part of what we do. Thank you very much for helping with the technical gremlins there. So that's a little bit about us, about our ethical element of what we do as a business and how we're there to help our customers, especially those economically disadvantaged. What I want to do now is really hand over to Ehsan Imran, who's our engineering manager. Ehsan is going to take you through a few slides now, talking about the academy and our engineering domain. Ehsan, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ehsan. I'm one of the engineering managers here at Thinkmoney. So yeah, Steve said I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our need to hire foundation developers and where that fits in line with our growth strategy going forwards. So Thinkmoney are currently in scale-up mode at the moment. So we first came about as a business 20 years ago, primarily as a call center, and then through those years we've evolved more into a fintech organization. And here in 2021, we need to grow further, and the main business objectives really revolve around growing out our customer base, and making sure that we can provide better banking for people who can manage their finances in a whole better way. So due to that, we have a need to recruit more developers. So in line with us recruiting more senior engineers and professional software developers, we're also recruiting foundation software developers as part of our academy program. So we've put together a really detailed and comprehensive 6-month academy plan, an onboarding plan to help onboard foundation developers into our organization. So how it's broken down is essentially like this. So the academy program lasts 6 months. The first 2 months revolve around getting insight into the business, meeting people from different areas, whether that's product, user experience design, software engineering, and kind of software delivery as well. So meeting people, kind of understanding where our business sits in terms of our business proposition, and upskilling primarily as well in our core technologies. So the core technologies that we use at Thinkmoney are OutSystems, the OutSystems development platform, C#, SQL, and Golang and AWS. So once you've kind of upskilled during the initial 2 months, you'll get onboarded into the optimization team. And the optimization is a team that actually specializes in experiments and experimental development. So running A/B tests on the website, within our core product, the mobile app as well. So once you've kind of done 3 months within the optimization team, then you'll onboard into a proper cross-functional team here at Thinkmoney. And the way we actually set up our teams is as follows. So we try to align our teams to the core customer experiences or customer journeys that our customers use within the mobile app primarily. So the first stream is acquisition. So that involves the thinkmoney.co.uk website. That website is built using React.js, Gatsby, and we have pipeline set up in AWS for CI/CD as well. The second stream that we have currently is onboarding, which primarily their key objectives and key results revolve around that onboarding journey and making sure that customers have a seamless transition from filling out the online application form into actually onboarding into the product and opening up their current account. And then the last stream we have is the servicing stream. So they essentially look at everything else at the moment. So quite a large domain. So they'll look after anything from payments to integrations with third parties, to managing the budgeting element of our app as well. So over the coming months and years, there's a lot of scope in that team, especially to break out into further teams and further more autonomous and dedicated teams. And yeah, looking for people to join us on that journey, really. So I'll hand over to Charlie, and he'll talk to you a little bit more about the tech stack.
Hello, I'm Charlie. I'm a professional software developer here at Thinkmoney. Been here almost 3 years now. So I'm just going to talk through our tech stack and then talk about our engineering principles and practices in a bit. So as Ehsan mentioned, our tech stack's really diverse. It's gone through some major changes over the past 3 years. Our website being totally redesigned. We now use React and Gatsby as 2 of our major frameworks there. The majority of our online offerings, so our online account management, web apply, and the app is built using OutSystems, which is a low-code platform. One of the benefits of OutSystems, it enables us to build really, really quickly, much quicker than using a traditional code base. And it's a really great platform for new developers to be able to contribute to the production app within a few months of joining. So as I said, we've got our online banking, which is mainly OutSystems, and our web apply, which again is the browser-based apply version, which again is written in OutSystems, but we're looking to rewrite that in the not too distant future. I'm probably going to pick React as the framework to do that with. And then we have our mobile app, which the majority of our customers will use. So this is a called over application, which means it's platform agnostic. So it works on both iOS and Android with the same code base. Again, the presentation of that is done in OutSystems. And then, as I said, the customers can apply both through the web and also by downloading the mobile app. And our backend and all our clever budgeting is split across a variety of technologies. So we've got on-premises, SQL and C#, .NET, which is our legacy stack. But the majority of the new functionality, we're really embracing cloud technologies and servers as well. So we're using AWS as our main cloud provider. We do use Azure as well. And Golang is our language for the future. And one of the big challenges we're facing in the imminent future is the migration from our on-prem data centers into the cloud. So that's a big project which you may be part of if you end up working with us. So yeah, our engineering principles. We've got 6 main principles. We're really inspired by the Agile Manifesto, if you've heard of that, and also the ways of working of DevOps. It's very iterative, and the aim is it's very inclusive. And it underlines the way we try to work throughout the whole organization. At Thinkmoney, we're constantly trying to improve processes and how we work. So I'll just quickly go through these. Number 1, keep things simple and straightforward. The best solution is often the easiest, and we use test-driven development, which I'll speak on later if you've encountered that, to keep it simple and straightforward. Number 2, build it, ship it, support it. We really encourage ownership of the whole product life cycle. Gives exposure to work done before development in the business side, and also the QA process, and then supporting that project once it's gone live. And gone are the days where developers will chuck work over the wall to QA and then forget about it. We're very much involved in the whole product life cycle. Number 3, leave things better than you found them. We tackle technical debt as we go along. We improve the code base, we refactor as we develop. And again, this is all based on having a really comprehensive test suite that allows us to have a great amount of confidence in our code. And number 4 is really interesting. So assume nothing, question everything. And this is why it's really great to bring in foundation developers from coding boot camps, because you've got such a wide and diverse range of backgrounds. You will teach us stuff. You will come in and you will question why we do things the way we do things. And often, you'll be able to help us improve there. And number 5, start small and iterate. We work really iteratively. One of the principles of agile delivery is starting with what's called a minimum viable product, or an MVP, and building onto that. So we try to deliver incremental, constant improvements to our customers, which leads into number 6, which is strive for short feedback loops to help provide clarity. So short feedback loops, again, one of the principles of DevOps. And if your code doesn't work, we'll know about it quickly, it'll fail quickly, and we can support you to make it better. And we have these constant feedback loops in the way we work. Working for a relatively small engineering department means that your voice is heard, and it's really encouraged to be heard as well. I'll now talk about engineering practices. So number 1, pair programming. We do a lot of pair programming, especially in your first few months. You work with and learn from people at all different levels of the organization. Knowledge sharing is really important, and it helps us to look at things differently. Number 2 is TDD, test-driven development, which I touched on earlier. We fully embrace TDD as a coding style. We write tests first, and then we do the red, green, refactor, fail the test, pass the test, refactor your code, make it better. We only write enough to pass the test, and we ensure the code is really clean and it's only as complicated as it needs to be. Number 3 is mastery time. So this is time which we have dedicated during the working week to allow yourself to pursue technological interests or projects that interest you. It can be anything. Sometimes people will put together katas for folk to work on and to challenge themselves. And a huge part of, you will know this if you're doing a coding bootcamp, a big part of being a software developer is just constant learning. You're always trying to improve yourself. And it's really great that we get offered this time during the week to do that. Number 4 is CI/CD. So this is continuous integration and continuous delivery. So your code is constantly being merged into the main branch, and we're doing releases as often as we can possibly do so, which means we see, as I've mentioned earlier, small iterative improvements to our application. We do deployments at least once a week, meaning our customers see benefits all the time. So we're constantly delivering value. We couldn't do any of these things without the principles of number 5, which is clean code, and also number 6, continuous refactoring. The main principle of clean code is that the system should be kept as simple as possible, and good clean code doesn't need comments. Everyone should be able to understand it. Even you, when you're coming into you should be able to look at our code base and understand what it's doing. And this leads into number 6, continuous refactoring, which is the Boy Scout rule, which is to leave the code cleaner than you found it. And you find a way to make things more efficient. And with the security of our test-driven development approach, we can do this with a huge amount of confidence. And I'll pass back to Ehsan to talk about our software development lifecycle.
Thanks, Charlie. So yeah, I thought it'd be worthwhile actually showing you what our SDLC looks like here at Thinkmoney. There's various interpretations of what the SDLC, but in general, it will cover at high level 6 or 7 phases of the development life cycle. The first one being kind of planning and analysis, going into design and then development, and then quality assurance, deployment, and then maintenance. So they're the kind of main stages of the SDLC, and this is what ours looks like and what ours captures at each stage as well. So we have an analysis phase or a discovery phase where product owners within the teams will work very closely with other stakeholders and customers and understand what we want to build. And then we'll come into the planning stage to see where does that fit with other priorities within the backlog and the development cycle. We'll get a QA, a developer, and a product owner together to sign off on the actual work proposed to make sure that it's in a ready state. And then we'll head into technical design, technical planning, and implementation, where we'll have a few different things going on here. So we'll have a focus on clean code, like Charlie mentioned. We'll make sure that the acceptance criteria is well refined. We'll also put in relevant validation and non-functional testing, and then we'll get that piece of work code reviewed and signed off with a PO and a QA again. We'll have QA as well as a step. So the role of the QA at Thinkmoney is not to test software. You know, we fully expect developers to be testing their work as well. The QAs are there more just for an assurance check, essentially, and much more of their role actually revolves around increasing quality in the full life cycle, whether that's much earlier on or whether that's in the CI/CD pipelines, but that's what their role primarily entails. And then we'll deploy. So we'll raise change requests, we'll get that work deployed out to production, we'll make sure we've got any relevant monitoring and alerting in place just in case something isn't quite right in production. And then, you know, if there are bugs, we'll prioritize those and fix them in the SDLC. So also Charlie mentioned continuous learning. So this is something that we take quite seriously at Thinkmoney. We believe that all engineers, you know, as part of their day-to-day, they should be learning. And I always use the phrase that if you're not learning for a consistent amount of time, then that's probably a good time to leave the organization, or to you know, maybe think about how you want to progress, you know, in your career, and you can work with your engineering manager on that. So we have a few different things here that we do. So very recently, I say over the past 3 or 4 months, we've managed to get every single engineer in the engineering team to complete AWS training. So all of the engineers have successfully completed the Cloud Practitioner Essentials training, Security Fundamentals, and also training on the well-architected framework. We also have a Udemy account that all engineers can use. We have mastery time, like Charlie touched upon, and we have hackathons as well. So the last hackathon we did was a few months back, where we, you know, I don't want to say, but I was in the winning team. But yeah, it's a real good kind of thing to do, just to take the focus off work a little bit, to form teams, get to work with people that you don't usually work with, and build good MVPs and good products, and really then sell those products in a presentation to the judges, who we had the CTO and the head of engineering last time judge. And we also have an on-site library as well. So yeah, if you want to keep up to date with latest books and latest concepts, then or even old concepts that come good, you know, you can keep up to date there. I'll pass you back to Steve, and he'll talk to you a little bit about the interview process.
Yeah, thanks, Ehsan. So with our academy, we are hiring people every 2 months, from September, so through to November, January, March, and May next year. And we primarily come to boot camps for those people. It's worked very well previously, going back a few years, and previously in the last few months as well with our initial hires that we've made. So anybody who's on a bootcamp course that wants to apply to us should contact Alice, express an interest, submit a CV. Alice will take you through that process, and then with your permission, Alice will send the CV over to the TA team. I've got Natasha on the call here today as well, and and Tash tends to lead the initial contacts with people who come into the process with us. But you could also be talking to myself or anybody else on the team when things get really, really busy. So for us, it's really simple. If you're on a bootcamp course at the moment, we are going to give you an interview. It's really, really simple. That's a guarantee from us. What we want to know is, where you are in terms of the course, whether you've finished and graduated, or whether you're on the course and you've got a period of time left on that, because that helps us to understand which intake you could potentially come into. The TA screens are really quite short process. It's just 7 questions. We won't say what they are, but most of them are behavioural, attitudinal, with a couple of technical questions in there as well. Really, really simple process. Takes about 25-30 minutes, not a very long interview at all. And each round that we do of intake, we basically tend to put them together quite closely. And once we've finished, we score all those interviews. We have a moderation process to see who'll come forward into the next round of interviews. If you're successful in going through to the next round, you'll get a call back from us to tell you that that's the case. But you get a call anyway. You get a lot of contact from us in the TA team, because if it's a no, we give you very detailed, very structured feedback as to why you haven't been selected on this occasion. And hopefully that feedback, whether it's a technical skill, whether it's something in the interview that we just didn't quite find, hopefully that's useful for you, with other interviews that you might have with other companies or potential employers moving forward. So if it's good news and you come forward on interview days that we set aside to put a number of people through a process. You'll be interviewing with Ehsan. You'll also be interviewing with our head of engineering and a developer. It could be Charli. It could be several others that we've got. We like to rotate around, give everybody an opportunity to do that. So you get the behavioural interview first of all, just to kind of look at personality and fit as well. And then there's the code kata, which is a technical test, which is done as a pair programming exercise with Charli or one of his colleagues. Once we get to the end of each day, nice simple moderation process again. You'll be scored throughout the day on the interview at the beginning, and then on the code kata as well. And generally, we make offers within 24 to 48 hours. So it's a pretty quick process when you're in there. We will make the offer to you directly, keeping Alice informed all the way through, obviously where we are up to with all candidates. But at any time, if you've got any questions, you'll have contact from our coordinator who books all the interview slots. You'll have access to on email for Natasha as well. So any questions at any time about any part of the process you're coming through, you just reach out. We'll gladly set a call up with you if we need to, or gladly respond to you at all. So it's a fairly quick process once it gets going, but we're always happy to help and support you through that process at any time as well. And I think that's probably it for us today in terms of what we wanted to talk to you about. So it's really over to anybody that wants to ask any of us or some questions.
Great, thanks guys. That was really, really helpful. I think especially for everyone who's wanting to apply, I'm sure you've answered lots of questions there already. I'll start off because we did have some people who weren't able to make the event today that have submitted questions beforehand to me. So I guess obviously you've sort of already made it clear that when somebody sends a CV over, that you would pretty much interview anyone from one of the boot camps. But would there be particular things that you look for in a CV in terms of like personal projects or anything like that? I guess it would help people who are not just applying for Thinkmoney as well, but if there's anything else you would look for in a junior developer's CV.
Yeah, I can take that one if you like. So there's a number of things really. I think personal projects are really great. If you can get those pushed up to GitHub or another subversion control system. It's always nice to just read through your code, maybe try and trace it through and try and map you to your thought process. I think if you've got any systems that you've built and you've got hosted as well, so Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, they actually have free tier. So you can host a React app, for example, for free in S3 if you're using AWS. I think good things as well in the kind of CV that we look for is just talk a little bit about your experience, working on the bootcamp and working on specifically the project. We look for things around teamwork as well as individual practices. So if you've worked well in a group as part of the final project, then it's always really interesting to read that and not just hear about what went well and why what you built, but also why did you build it in that way, what challenges did you have, maybe to just flesh those things out briefly. They're the kind of things that I would look for.
Great, thank you. And I guess as well what's quite helpful, especially with teamwork, and something I try to reiterate to the boot campers, is sort of their transferable skills, those skills they've had from past jobs and everything like that they can put into this role, which I think is really important. So we had a question come through from Laura. I'm sure you'll be able to answer this one, Steve. It's just, should we wait to finish the boot camp to apply? Do you think we'd be able to pass a technical interview without applying?
I think we've what the experience of the last few months has taught us is that it's better for people to apply towards the end of the boot camp. They can certainly make initial contact with us to get us, to get them into our thinking, into our pipeline, and so if let's say they're graduating in November or January, and that's when they're looking for an opportunity, we can already start to plan, for interviewing them at a later date. But as I say, I think what we've learned is that it's best for them to have done as much of the course as possible to maximise their opportunity of getting through that code kata. Ehsan, did you want to pick up on sort of some elements of the code kata without saying exactly what it was, and some of those learnings that we've had in a little bit more detail, which I think might be helpful for them as well?
Yeah, sure. So I can kind of give you a bit of an insight into the code kata. I know a lot of people, it can be quite a daunting process and daunting experience, really. But really, what we look for is people just to remain calm, through the interview process, and especially the coding exercise. We do look for you to approach it in a test-driven way. So if you've covered TDD on your course, we're looking for that kind of thing. We're also looking for people to just talk through their thought process, and just make us understand what they're currently thinking. If they're torn between a decision, then just voice that in the coding exercise as well. And really, that's all there is to it. Really, we're looking to see how you think about a technical problem and how you can communicate the challenges that you think you'll face. And coming back to our engineering principles, one of the ones Charli spoke about was start small and iterate. So if you're following TDD, we really want to see you start as small as you can. Start with red, go to green, refactor. We don't want to see over engineering. We want to just see small baby steps to build up that piece of software.
Great, thanks for that. I know when I spoke to Lucy Einmunger, who is one of the new foundation developers at Thinkmoney, that she said to me she thought she really messed up on her on the coding challenge, but she felt like because she was really able to sort of explain what she wanted to do, and she asked and communicated with you guys, as I guess worked as a team during the paired programming exercise, that she really felt that was beneficial to her and sort of gave her that extra boost of confidence and helps her pass the test, really, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say that, yeah. Oh, so go on, Ehsan, after you.
Yeah, I was just going to say Lucy and Anna are great. So they joined us very recently, and also David, who's still on the course. I think he's joined us recently as well. Yeah, I mean they're the kind of things that we look for, really. And something that's really important in these kind of interviews are the soft skills. So if you've got really strong technical skills, that's great. But really what we're looking for as well are people who can communicate, because you're going to be talking to business people, you're going to be talking to stakeholders. So do you have good communication skills? Do you have good soft skills, or human skills, I prefer to call them? And how good a communicator are you? Because, ultimately that's more important at this level. The technical skills we can teach. There's no issue in that.
I was going to say as well, there's sort of a couple of interview techniques, I suppose. What we really look for, both in the talent acquisition screen that Natasha will do, or when we're doing that stage of the interview with Ehsan and Paul, is we're looking for people to be informative, but we're looking for them to be concise. It can be a tough thing to pull off in one sense. We want enough information to be able to make an assessment about you, but we don't want you to go for really, really long rambles and take forever to kind of describe that to us as well. So it's that balance. There is thinking you can do ahead of the interview to think, the kind of things that we might ask you about, and back to your point, Alice, about transferable skills. if you take people like Lucy and David as well, that Ehsan talked about, they're switchers, as we call them. They've had other careers for quite a few years as well. And that experience is, really comes through when we interview them, but we're looking for all people, whether it's your first job or whether you're a switcher, we're happy to interview. We just want good talent, really. And our approach to talent is really simple. We want to hire the best talent. We want to develop that talent. And if we do those things well, then the aim is to retain that talent as well and keep those people growing their careers here.
Great, thank you. That was really informative and I imagine super helpful to people. We've had a question through from Mahmood, which I think, Ehsan, you'll probably be able to help with this one. So it's, do you give weight to AWS certification, as I have an AWS solutions architect and AWS practitioner, which kind of goes over the top of my head because I'm obviously not technical. But
yeah, okay. So no, first of all, that's really impressive. So good work. I think at this level where really you're looking to stand out from other people applying for these jobs, I think certifications do help. I think as you kind of grow into your role as a software engineer, it's always good to maybe train and put more emphasis on the actual learning aspect, maybe rather than the certs themselves. The certs can help with that, they can accommodate for that, but it really is the learning that's where the value is. But I think at this level where you're coming in as an aspiring developer, you're applying for roles, I think that can definitely help set you apart from the rest.
Great, thank you. And then we've had a message from David. He says, no questions, but I just want to thank you for the insight. It sounds like a fab and super supportive place to work. Laura has also messaged in just saying thank you for answering a question and asking what the salary package and details for the junior developer role, which I can send over to you, Laura, after this call, if that's okay with everyone. Cool. And I had another question through as well from somebody beforehand, and I guess it was just about transferring to different roles once they started as a software developer. Do people ever move over into things like Scrum Master? Do you ever get people sort of transferring into different parts of the business? And I guess kind of what the future would look like for somebody starting out as a foundation software developer.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So switches and kind of cross training is something that we really want to encourage. We also appreciate that sometimes you can do the developer course, you get into the role in an enterprise organization, and actually you find out after a year or so that maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I want to explore a UX designer role or a business analysis role. And I definitely think that we've got a culture here at Thinkmoney that we can facilitate that and make that happen, if that's something that you really want to do. And there is an element there on kind of learning yourself and maybe getting mentored by someone from that other discipline. But I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be able to happen.
Great.
We've got some really amazing stories here about people's career pathways. That's what we call it in the HR and the talent team. So, we've taken people out of our call center, which is, we've still got one of those with sort of 60 people in it, and they've had long careers in marketing, technology, financial crime, a whole host of areas within the business. So again, the way we look at it is, you've got to find a starting point in the business. You've got to find a role that suits you, on day one that you come in. But if you're good at what you do, and you see something else that you like, back to Ehsan's point, that might be a better fit for you, what we want to do is we want to be having those conversations with you. We want your managers to be having those conversations. The head of HR and I are always, available to have those kind of conversations and help map those career pathways out for you if you need any assistance around that. And we've got more resources coming into this team as well, just to do that even better than we've done it historically. So back to my point, it's you've got to find a route in. But once you find a route in, we want to find a route for you to get to the job that suits you best after that. And we've done that so many times in so many different ways, and people have moved from one department to another with not a lot of experience because they're doing something very, very different. But if you're the right person at Thinkmoney, we will want to do our best by you. We won't want to lose you.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, especially for people who are coming in from boot camps, is just doing the boot camp opens a door to technology, and there's a world of roles and opportunities that they don't know anything about. And I think having that option of being able to move into something that might be a little bit better suited to them once they're there, I guess, can be really helpful to know that. I've had another question just saying, are you guys still working from home, or what's your current situation?
So I'll let you take that one if you want. For the academy, I can talk in broader context, but we've got some specific stuff around academy, haven't we?
Yeah, so for the academy, as I showed earlier, we have a 6-month program. So for those first 2 months, which involve a lot of upskilling, we're actually getting people on site in our Thinkmoney campus in Trafford Park. So the reason why we do that is because we feel that when you're onboarding as a junior or foundation developer, it's really important to be around people and actually, around physical people to help you settle in and to get you used to the systems, and just to make you feel at home. So that's why we do that for the first 2 months. But then once you've hit 2 months and you get onboarded into a team, that's where it's your choice really. You can stay in the small kind of confined group that we have on site at the moment, or you can choose to work more remotely. You can be 100% remote if you want for now, and then that of course leads into the bigger conversation that Steve will tell you about around remote working going forwards.
Yeah, so we've totally adapted to remote working, since last March when lockdown first happened. There's no prescriptive demand to be on site in Thinkmoney, unless it's something like your first couple of months in the academy, as Ehsan said. So, if you look in the car park most days, there's probably 20, 25 cars, headcount of 250 people. So that tells you the story. Probably roughly 10, at the most 15% of people are on site on any one day. We're just rejigging the office at the moment in terms of desk layouts and all those kind of things. But moving forward, it's going to be a hybrid model, definitely, with no prescription around the need to be in. I think what we would always say is, if there's a critical meeting, if there's a workshop, if there's something that demands your presence on site, then we just expect you to be here, really. But beyond that, it's very, very flexible, and you really, you can most of the time pick when you're on site and when you want to work from home. So we're fully supportive of hybrid working, fully supportive of flexible working hours. You just have to, do the projects and be where you need to be when you need to be. But apart from that, it's incredibly flexible here.
Great, thank you. And I definitely agree with having people in for the first couple of months, because it's hard starting a new job working from home, as I've realised, and it feels you get a bit annoyed having to pester people questions all the time. So it's much nicer to be in an office around people. I don't know if any. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, the funny thing is that when Lucy and Anna kind of onboarded a couple of months ago, it was the first time actually that other members of the engineering team came into the office, and for some people it's the first time they've been in ever.
Really?
So it was a bit of a surreal experience, but it was really nice because we went down to the canteen that we have here on site. We had lunch there. We've got some runners in the engineering team as well, so I think they went for a bit of a run as well. So we've got a racetrack around Trafford Park, and we've also got a gym here on campus as well. So yeah, it's really good just to see people physically, and especially after the challenging year that we've had.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to get out of the home and get into an office somewhere. I don't know if anyone has any more questions for the team, but I'll give you guys about 30 more seconds if you want to ask anything. But I guess so you've got, just to make it clear for everyone, you've got your next boot camp. When's that going to be starting?
Next one will start in September. We're probably already, in terms of candidates and starters and people who have signed up, that's probably covered off already. So the next one will be November, and then it rolls out 2 months from there. So November, January, March and May into 2022.
Great, perfect, thank you. I think that's it from everyone. I don't think we've got any more questions. I'm sure you guys are contactable. You guys are all on our Slack channel. So if anyone has any questions, I'm sure they can just go directly to you, or if anyone would like to ask me anything. And as Steve mentioned earlier, if you are interested in applying for Thinkmoney, I guess the next group will be the November one. And please feel free to send me a message. I can have a look over your CV and we can have a chat about the role, and I can send you the job details and everything. But thank you everyone for joining today. That was really, really helpful. I'm sure that'll help a lot of people in deciding whether to apply, and I guess what it's actually like to be a member of Thinkmoney. But it sounds like a great place to work. The people we've had from Manchester Codes that have gone there all are really, really enjoying it. So I guess there's those people you can always speak to as well. So we've got Lucy Ironmonger, Anna Balkin, and David Arrowsmith. Yeah, thanks again, everyone. It was nice to chat with you all, and hope everyone has a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, Alice. Cheers, everyone. See you.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks. Bye.